found some horrible semen. My dear Korean faithful, today's reading of the epistle starts with Tradili Wadet Akshepi. I have handed over to you what I have received. I cannot hand over to you, my dear faithful, anything else than Catholic tradition. And it is very sad to say that my dear Superior General, Bishop Bernard Fellet, he is continuing to plan. Nothing is signed yet, so I hope I'm still under him, even though he doesn't want me to be under him. I hope nothing is going to be signed, but Bishop Fellet continues to want to put us under the new role. That is, instead of handing over to us Catholic tradition, he's handing over traditional Catholics to what is not traditional Catholic. And this, my dear faithful, I will not allow it. I will not countenance it. As a shepherd of souls, I cannot hand you over, and I cannot collaborate to the handing over of traditional Catholics to the modernist new role. I cannot, and I will not. On account of that, the first monition has been issued to me on account of my previous war on sermon. First monition, trying to expel me from the Society of St. Pius X. And so, just like I will not have you handed over to the official church, I am not going to hand over my title of Society of St. Pius X. That's why I'm going to explain to you today. I am not handing over what I am. I am a priest of the Society of St. Pius X more than 16 years ago. I spent 24 years of my life in the service of the Society of St. Pius X. This is not going to stop. It is not I who have changed the position of Archbishop Lefebvre. It is the new management of the Society of St. Pius X. Those whom I call the Reconcilier Society of St. Pius X, that are changing the management of the Society of St. Pius X into a return to the official church. Now we do have the evidence. You know, at some stage I was thinking that Bishop Fellet was, flip-flopping, but now it's just flopping. Just a flop. That is, everything is in the direction to place ourselves under the official church. And this is and also is confirming his doctrinal errors. That we should ignore the errors of the Council of Vatican II. Because the church is more than the council. So he wants to join the official church in order to help the church. And says that there are more far-reaching problems to the Catholic Church than the Council of Vatican II. When it's precisely the contrary that Archbishop Lefebvre has always said. That what is destroying the church and undermining the church is Vatican II and its consequences. So we are against this, quote, new awareness. And so doctrine is not a secondary problem. Doctrine is our first problem. What Bishop Fellet wants to do is to reconcile and put all the doctrinal problems and the other problems fit into this box of reconciliation, which is not the vision of Archbishop Lefebvre. For Archbishop Lefebvre, you had Almighty God, our Lord Jesus Christ, and then the Catholic faith. For Bishop Fellet, of course there is God, but then just below God, there is reconciliation. And everything else has to fit in this box of a reconciliation. And and then he says the context is changing, the context, the situation is good enough. So I sent many letters, many talks to many people of that position. And he said the context is changing, it's favorable. Now we can have a canonical recognition, we can dialogue with Rome. And they say that to stay out of the official church is an illusion, is to have an ideal notion of the church which does not exist. What they don't understand, that, you know, I can, you know, work with the rest of the church, but on condition that the Pope thinks straight. What is going to rebuild the church, my dear faithful, is not a Pope who is in modernism. You have to distinguish the church and the papacy. That, of course, if the Pope converts, he will have lots of work to do to restore the church. But we will join the Pope only when his head will think straight. And that will help the church. The healing of the church already begins by what we are doing, by the stance we are making. And we have been very successful in this stance. And what Bishop Fellay is doing right now is to split the society, to explode the society of St. Pius X. Is that serving the return of tradition? The return of the mass of the church to tradition? To show the world, you know, a terrible division within the ranks of the society of St. Pius X? Is that showing the way to the world? It's doing the exact opposite, because I am very clear, I am not going this way. We are being asked to come by Rome. The Bishop Fellay thinks we have sufficient freedom to act, to live. And Bishop Fellay believes that this must be done on condition that we have a sufficient protection. No, this cannot be done. It's a question of trust of the Roman authorities, he says. He thinks that, you know, it's not a trap. It is not a trap, he says clearly. The three bishops says it's a trap. Bishop Fellay says it is not a trap. It is indeed a trap. And he says, why is it not a trap, says Bishop Fellay? Because the Pope says that it is not a trap. The Pope who used to be cardinalized here, the Pope who is strangling the Institute of Good Shepherd and the Redemptorist. I just met one of the brothers 2 days ago in Manila. The Pope who is strangling the others tell us it's not a trap. Go and jump in. You know, I am sincere. It is not a trap. How can we believe that it is not a trap just merely by the Holy Father, Benedict XVI, saying so? How is that possible? It can be so gullible. The Pope is the one who wants it. Of course he wants. He said the same thing to the Society of St. Peter, to the Mater Ecclesiae Institute, to Campos, to the Redemptorists, to Don Gérard, Benedictine monks, and to all the others. He said it he always said the same. And so the Pope wants it. The Bishop Fellay again in the letter repeats it's a genuine opportunity for the society. It says the three bishops don't understand. They don't understand that it's a genuine opportunity. So Bishop Fellay confirms the substance of his letter, of the Titanic letter of April 14th. He confirms the stance of this letter. He is not retracting in any way the stance of the April 14th letter. And he tells those bishops that someday they will have to readjust their judgment. So he officially recognizes that the three bishops are not on his side. And that's a question for me as a priest, because as a priest I cannot operate without a bishop. I rather operate with three bishops who have their heads straight, and with one bishop whose thinking is wallowing, and mellowing and melting, because of the circumstances, because of a vague feeling of some sort of a reconciliational spell. I cannot follow a reconciliational spell. What I follow is bishops who follow doctrine. That is what I follow, because it is right, it is solid. On this, my work will not be compromised. And Bishop Fellay tells the world that he still has three bishops against him within the SSPS, and he believes that the society is going, the majority of the society is going to follow him. It is not the case. France is not following Monsignor. And there are already several priests like me making a public stand against Bishop Fellay and being expelled. It's already there. Father Rioux, Father Pinault, and Father Giroir sermon now is on the internet. the Joe Pfeiffer sermons on the internet. He already has the beginning of those priests who are going public against Menzinger. And he has enormous groups of priests. Of course, in the US it's all under the NKVD, but Canada and Mexico and the seminary in Ecuador and plenty of other places are already saying no to him. And he hasn't got 3 bishops. And he maintains that he has 3 bishops and he's going to carry on regardless. That's blindness, my dear faithful. That's a breach of all the rules of warfare. And then he maintains the stand of the CNS. The question, he maintains that Vatican II can be put into tradition if it's understood in the light of tradition. Archbishop Lefebvre clarified the notion of Vatican II in the light of tradition. It's a dangerous expression, so he chose never to use it again. You cannot distinguish within Vatican II. We had so many congresses telling us that we cannot distinguish water and vinegar. When they are poured together, you can't distinguish them anymore. We had so many congresses and meetings stating just that. And therefore, you have this belief that a personal prelature is going to be nice, it's going to work. But it's not going to work at the same time, because when we will open a chapel, we will have to have the permission of the local bishop. He admits it, because it's church law. Which law? The new code or the old code? What code are they going to follow also? But Rome is working on it, and then of course there's going to be difficulties. But where did you find life without difficulties? So it's going to be difficult. Not only hasn't got the 3 bishops, many priests now are vocal, many priests say openly no, and respectfully no. And he says there are difficulties, but we have to do it. And we have great hope that tradition, and people will stop to call us schismatic, so this is going to help very much. And, and so we have to collaborate with the official church. So, my dear faithful, tradidi podet accepi. I am not taking you this way. I am not. And so, the punishments are raining upon me, but in a way I'm very glad it makes things very clear to me. And since they are proceeding to expel me, I need to tell you what is next. So the next installment after war on is what next? What is going to happen now, my dear faithful? You need to be, it's the virtue of prudence, is to see ahead of things what is going to happen now. But before I start, let me show you my war aims. The war aim is not a society split. Still, my dear faithful, as much as I can, I try to place myself under Bishop Bernard Fellet. He doesn't want me to be under him, but I still recognize him as a superior, all right? Because I don't want the split to happen before the general chapter. But I know what I want for the general chapter, and these are conditions for me to recognize the leadership of Bishop Fellet, or whoever the general chapter puts in his stead, maybe. So the general chapter has to do 2 things. He has to force Bishop Fellet now, at this stage. The general chapter has to force Bishop Fellet to retract his past erroneous statements, including new erroneous statements appearing in the latest interview. These statements have to be put on paper, and he has to retract them. That's a person. If he doesn't wish to do so, then the general chapter must oblige Bishop Fellet to stand down from his post of general superior. And the second thing, that now there must be a rule of by law, and preferably in a constitution as an amendment of the constitution of the Society of St. Pius X, there must be a rule by law stipulating that any practical agreement with the Pope can take place only on 2 conditions. That first, the Pope anathematizes, that is, condemns with his power. He condemns the entire text of Vatican II as a whole. The Vatican II as a text, as a whole, in the text, the whole of Vatican II, without doing all this, distinction, like a tradition, interpretation. No, the Pope has to condemn the whole text itself of Vatican II. That's the first condition. And he must return to the exclusive use of the traditional Mass. That is, he must return to say only the traditional Mass. And you understand that the condition is not that the Pope and the rest of the world says only the traditional Mass. No. The Novus Ordo Catholics, that will take time. That's what we say, the healing of the Church, I agree, the healing of the Church takes time. But the healing of the Church happens at the hand of such a Pope. Do you understand? There is no, the theory of the gradual conversion of Benedict XVI to tradition is dangerous. Why it's dangerous? Because he's a wolf. He's been using the trappings of tradition to deceive us all these years, and he's going to continue to do the same. It's dangerous. And even Bishop Fede says it's going to be hard, and everything. It's dangerous. No, the Church is going to be healed by a Pope who returns fully to the faith. But then they tell me, how is it going to happen? You are dreaming, you have a dream miracle scenario. But I say, those who believe that the hand of God is shorter than it used to be are even bigger dreamers. Because they refuse to believe in the all-powerfulness of God. God is all-powerful. So look at the story of Joan of Arc. And all the Battle of Lepanto, and it's all in our history books. Our history books of the history of the Church are full of the salvation of the Church from a desperate situation. And you don't want me to believe, when Our Lady of Quito clearly said that she would come to our aid when everything seems to be lost, you don't want me to believe that when everything seems to be lost, Our Lady of Quito, Our Lady is going to intervene. That's not possible. That's not possible because it fits also my version of non-progressive conversion of the Pope, fits also St. Malachi, who tells us we will have a Pope who will lead the Church through many tribulations. The tribulations of reconquering the Novus Ordo Church. There will be a Pope who will go around the world and will turn around the Novus Ordo Church from Novus Ordo back to tradition. He will be the instrument of the healing of the Church. That's what seems to be said, to be implied in the words of St. Malachi. And probably other signs, other revelations. But that's the way it's done. Because those are the three whitenesses. So right now we have, today is the solemnity of the Holy Eucharist, we've got the whiteness of the Holy Eucharist. Then we've got the second whiteness, our Blessed Virgin Mary. To whom is consecrated this time for her triumph, for the triumph of her whiteness. But don't you think that she's going to use the papacy for this triumph? When she clearly stated that the Pope will consecrate Russia, unlike the reigning Pope, who buried Fatima. Instead of burying Fatima, the Pope will consecrate Russia to her heart. So she already told us she's going to use a Pope. A good one, not a grey one. She's going to use a Pope. That's why our hope is so much higher than the lame hope of the new management of the Society of St. Pius X. It is such a lame hope because it rests on an implicit disbelief in the power that God has to change history. And the second prelude, that is what I do not want to happen to the general chapter. Otherwise I continue to fight. What I don't want to hear is some vague assurance of fidelity to the position of the society. Or to the position of Archbishop Lefebvre as they understand it. And that most of the general chapter spends itself in administrative details when they have the crisis of doctrine at hand. And a split taking place. Which is not of my making, because I am not stepping down from society. They are just trying to cut the tie between me and the society and Python, which is impossible, because I am not changing. When they use the scissors on me, they are cutting themselves off, but I am not changing. And the second thing that I refuse to admit is the fact that they don't want to clarify the debate as to what is meant by the return of Rome to tradition. They don't want to clarify the debate. So we need to use the virtue of prudence now in these present circumstances. Because as you clearly see, they want to throw me out. Now, many of my friends tell me, but Father, take your time and everything. It's not, we are not yet there and everything. Well, I am there now. I am there. They are after me, and they are, stealing, boxes in my bedroom, stealing boxes in my priory. They are trying to pay the two cameramen, away from my preaching. They are trying to debook my plane tickets without my knowledge, and they are withdrawing my faculties to preach without any written documents. So they are, I am already there. That's what I say to my friends. I'm doing very well. I slept very well last night in the plane, surprisingly. So I'm doing very well, and then I am there already. For the other people who are not there, just stay there, lay low. But I am there, that's where I am. And I am only 1 month away from the positive or negative outcome of the general chapter. So I'm obliged to use the virtue of prudence. I'm obliged to look at what I am going to do next. So Our Lady is going to help us because the situation is desperate. I told you already. But, this war on sermon has been attacked. So far the only error I can say is that I said that the next solution is to, I said that Metzingen wanted to cancel or postpone the general chapter. It's not the case. That's an erroneous statement I made in the war on sermon. So I retract it. Metzingen is proceeding as scheduled. But otherwise, I do not regret anything. I got no regret of this war on sermon. There may be some, lack of, maybe lack of respect in some expression I chose because of my personality, because I'm French in your face. So if I hurt anyone by some expressions, but as to the substance of the 33 arguments I put in the war on sermon, as to the substance, I cannot retract anything, my dear faithful. The situation is still the same. And I was relieved in a way, even though I don't agree with Bishop Philip, I was relieved in a way because since he maintains his stance, that my first stance of the war on sermon still stands. Bishop Philip, the new Rome is fornicating in heresy, and Bishop Philip wants us to go under the new Rome, which is adultery from the truth as far as we are concerned. Those are biblical expressions, but they need to be used. Those are not a liberal way to express oneself. It's a way of Scripture to express itself. But it's the truth. So now I need to warn you against three animals. The chameleon. So sometimes we hear, I'm not signing, I'm just looking. And then now today I'm saying, I'm going to sign real quick. I'm really just about to sign. July maybe, or after, Providence will tell me, but whenever it's ready, my pen is hitting the paper. So I'm not saying I'm just looking, and then in between of two episodes, the May episode, the April-May episode, where I'm going to take the offer, it's very interesting. And now we are back to I am going to take the offer, and it's very interesting. So basically some sort of chameleon, even though now I don't think Bishop Philip is chameleonizing very much. He's very consistent, and I don't call him a chameleon. But the switch could happen, but I don't see it happening, it's happening less and less. His resolve now is very strong. And the other animal is the spider, trying to put you to sleep, telling you, be quiet, pray, say novenas to the Sacred Heart, to the Holy Ghost, add the Correctus and Pius X, be nice, be quiet and everything. In the discernment of spirit, the devil does this when something bad is happening. He calms down things. I told you about the mood of the Krishna temples, the Disneyland mood elsewhere. That the devil is able to soothe things. It's not because I am soothed. It's not because I feel relaxed that I am in the truth. It's because I am in the truth that eventually my heart is soothed and peaceful, and I get good night's sleep, including in a plane, my dear faithful. Something that usually doesn't happen to me. And I'm fresh this morning. So if first you follow the truth, then your heart is soothed and pacified. That's it's the devil is the other way around. He wants agreement, he wants peace first, and after that, everything falls apart. So, but the spider stings first and then wraps. So we're being wrapped as we are being stung and put to sleep. Bishop Philip maintains that he goes to Rome, talks to Rome, and then he prepares this canonical structure and all these things by which we're going to be tied, completely tied, won't be able to move. That's what the spider does. And then the spider will assume the regime afterwards. And then there is a crocodile. The crocodile does two things. I went to see the crocodile park in Davao last week. And there was a giant, huge crocodile there. And then the pressure of his jaw is 2 tons. So you fall in the hands of this crocodile, you got 2 tons of pressure squashing you. And that's what's happening to me right now. Okay? They are squashing me on one side, and they want to have pity on Pope Benedict XVI. Let us help Pope Benedict XVI. We're so isolated. Poor thing, Benedict XVI. Well, of course, he's crushing the Redemptorists. That's not good. Don't do it again. Don't crush the Institute of Good Shepherd. No. Don't crush the others. Of course, he's got this 2-ton jaw. But look at his eyes. He's got tears in his eyes. He's alone in his desk. He's got all these scandals. The medias are attacking him, and we are his most loyal sons, able to come to him, to work with him, to work and help him become a better crocodile. No way, my dear faithful. So you stay away from the chameleon, you stay away from the spider, and you stay away from the crocodile. So what's happening to us priests, who are trying to dodge the crocodile a little bit? What's happening to me right now? Well, first of all, I want to present to you the nightmare scenario, what I don't want to do. First of all, we must not have discouragement. It's just a crisis with the NSSPX. And I maintain that by the end of the general chapter, the crisis will be over. Because our lady is too powerful. Any mother would intervene at this stage because the family is tearing itself to pieces. Any mother in any other family, the mother would put herself on her knees and she was forcefully, by her motherhood, force the union of the family. That's what happens when there is a family crisis. So I'm not discouraged at all. And me and my other confreres who are in the same position as I am, those who are the vocal ones, we are not discouraged at all. Our hope is growing and growing and growing. Because the tide now is turning. We can see now, after a couple of weeks, that now the tide is turning, resistance is organizing. But I don't want discouragement. I want to stay away from discouragement, and stay away from slicing. That is, it is not I who is being removed as a lone priest. It's not true. We are a block of priests. We are not going down separately. We priests are hanging already together as of now. We haven't started a group. No, we have not. But we are solidly glued together already. I am not going down as just one slice of the mozzarella, I am just, I have my brothers in arms. We are already entirely united. And third thing, which will be the isolation. That is, you are not going to deal with me here in Korea as an isolated priest. I'm going to call one of these priests to come and say Mass here in Korea, to show you the point. That you are not isolated. You are not isolated with the Catholic Church, whoever was before you in the course of time, but even as of today, you are not isolated from other very good Catholic priests. So I will call, another priest, Father Joe Pfeiffer, Father Valan Rajkumar, and whoever else joins us, and I will call, the bishops. Whenever the bishops are ready, they will come again here. I will call them to take care of this chapel one Sunday, so that your eyes may see, that we are not dealing with isolation. And no doctrinal erosion. That's where we are not going to change our doctrine. We will not back down from our doctrine. And we are not going to be bitter. That is, we are going to be charitable. So we are not going to become sedevacantists. Not only we are not going to be bitter with the priests who have not joined us, who are still in the official Society of St. Pius X, but we are going to remain St. Pius X. So Father Fortin, Father Honda, Father Couture, Bishop Fellet, all of these are still my beloved confreres. They don't like me, well, that's their problem. But I still love them all, with no exception. It's they who attack, I am taking their blows, and I return thanks to them. Because our weapon is not simply the truth, our weapon is the virtue of charity. They are the ones, I leave it to them to strike me down and to crucify me if they wish, but I leave it to them, I will not touch them. I disagree with them most openly, but I do not touch them. I still love them. I want to work with them in the future. And so there will be no infighting among ourselves, among this group of priests. And we will not, and lastly, we will not abandon our faithful. The mission of the society is a mission of rescuing of souls away from the Novus Ordo. That mission still goes on. And you will be provided with sacraments. As far as Korea is concerned, you will be provided with more sacraments than before. Because, if I am thrown out from OLBC, I got no other place to stay than the flat here in Seoul. That's a place where I know I can stay. The other places, I don't know yet. Most probably the Filipinos will host me. But the first place that I know I have is this place. And that's why I elected it as my residence. So most likely you will have not less, but more sacraments. And since I am put in charge by the circumstances, you will have Blessed Sacrament on a permanent basis here. And also, I'm in favor of binating and trinating on Sunday. That is, by this means I'll be able to say the Mass in Japan in the afternoon or in the Philippines in the afternoon. So you will have the Mass on a more regular basis. And so you will not be abandoned, but you will most probably get more. I hope so. And I am not leaving Asia. Just as I am not leaving the SSPX, I remain an SSPX priest. We keep our SSPX website here in Korea. All these, our letterhead SSPX, all the markings on our laundry will be SSPX. Everything will be SSPX. So just I am not leaving the SSPX, I am not leaving my geographical implantation. I am not severing the tie between me and you. Because it's from this place that they try to throw me out. They try. So I am staying in Asia. And, I would love to take my vacations in America. But, the only thing that prevents me to go there is not Father Rostand, but it is you. Until I find a priest to replace me, to take care of you while I'm taking my vacations in the United States, I cannot go to the United States. Why? Because my responsibility is to you. But, I hope that by the summer, I will have a priest enabling me to go and take my vacations, because I've got friends elsewhere as well. So, these 7 problems, if we make us, once we are thrown out, we have these 7 problems: discouragement, the slicing, the isolation, the doctrinal erosion, the bitter zeal, the sedevacantist trail, infightings, and the abandoning of the faithful. I don't want to have anything to do with these 7 things. It's excluded to me. So the simplest thing, my dear faithful, is simply to remain what we are. Just like St. Ignatius tells us, when in desolation, you don't change the course of action. So when there is a crisis of trouble, don't change. So I am Father François Chazal, Society of St. Pius X, and this I remain. So it would be a catastrophe to start a Society of St. John, St. Peter, an institute of something. It would be a catastrophe. Because it would be the proof that we are changing. All those contraptions fighting society were founded because they were a departure from the doctrine and the stance of Archbishop Lefebvre and his conditions of victory. But I am not changing. So my name and my stance, everything remains the same. I urge all the other priests who are doing the same public stand as I am doing to do the same. And so just like in the Christ of the Church, the society is not departing from the Catholic Church. They say, you put yourself outside of the Catholic Church. We deny it. We never left the Catholic Church. So then they will tell you, you are leaving the Society of St. Pius X. No, this is precisely what I deny. So you have the same, because you have the Vatican doing the SSPX, then you get the same accusation. You are not a priest of the SSPX anymore. And I deny it thoroughly. I'm not coming up with any other name of organization or anything. Not only that, but now we call the soft side of the SSPX. We should call it by what it is. It is the reconciliar SSPX. It's an SSPX that wants to reconcile. And it has an official staff that wants to lead that SSPX astray. So there is the official reconciliar SSPX. Just as you have right now the official church, conciliar church, headed by Pope Benedict XVI. Do you understand? I am not changing my name, I am changing their name. They have a new name. It's not I who is changing. They may call me an unchangeist, a dreamer or whatever. You can call me names if they wish, but my name stays the same. So we have to make something exist to gather the priestly crumbs that are going to continue to fall in the month of June and July. If things go wrong, things won't go wrong. And something which is called something which is not too heavy, not bureaucratized, but with a minimal organization to start. And that starts with an authority. It's the appointing of a leader of priests. So when we hit some point of no return, we have to appoint a leader. So those priests will meet together, and then they will vote their own superior, a superior, for a short-term mandate. After that, a longer mandate, and after that, the formation of a chain of command within us, and a chapter, a mini-chapter, that will elect constitutionally, following the constitution of the Society of St. Pius X and nothing else, that will elect, the SSPX Superior General. So that structure will be flexible. It must admit that, it must be flexible, that is capable to admit those priests who are taking their time to rejoin us. The assets, what the difference will be with the official SSPX, that the assets will remain in the hands of the lay folks. Because what we see now, what we fear, is the whole Titanic of the SSPX going down in one piece. Actually, the actual Titanic went down in several pieces, in 2 pieces. But we don't want the ship to go down in one piece. To prevent that, most of us, but it's not yet finalized, think that the assets will remain in the hands of the local faithful. It's much safer. So if one of the priests or even the superior general of that of our group wants to compromise, then the rest of the ship stands. He just jumps off in the water, but the rest stands. As far as the property, but we don't really depend entirely on properties. We're just using this. But we need to provide with chapels and places of worship. I think the best way now is to leave all these assets in the hands of our faithful. And in God's time, one of the bishops or the 3 bishops will openly, be with us. There is no doubt about it that it's going to happen. And but in the meantime, we are preparing a seminary. We are preparing a seminary, and we are going to start training immediately. To continue training immediately, seminarians who were thrown out for the wrong reasons and candidates for the seminary. because we know bishops are on our side. We would not do this work without bishops. If I was not certain that those three bishops are on the side of the truth, I will not do what I am doing today, my dear faithful. I will be mum. I will be entirely quiet. But we do have three bishops instead of one. And that's our highest hope. Because the church is run not only by the Pope, but it's run by bishops. Without bishops, you can't do nothing. A priest is zero without a bishop. So since I have the guarantee of bishops, I proceed, my dear faithful. And especially our goal is to something that can accommodate the anger of our enemies. That is, a band of brothers sticking together so that we can take all the attacks of our enemies, both from the official church and from the reconciliar SSPS. It's a band of brothers, we stick together, and I never enjoyed so much the friendship of Father Joseph Pfeiffer. Our friendship has been so strong and amazing to an amazing degree. And when I grab the phone every day, I've got a new joy. I find another friend, another powerful, strong warrior of Christ. And so I've got so many joys on the friendship side. And I find brilliant, fighting faithful. And it's such an immense consolation for me. That's the point, my dear faithful, is to make such a powerful bond of charity among ourselves, that we are impregnable, and that they can't hurt us. And it's a stance of the faith. I repeat, it's the stance that we are making for the faith, and nothing else. Because placing ourselves under a Pope who fornicates from the faith is a compromising of the faith. So, as far as the virtue of faith is concerned, I simply restate what I was stating. I am not withdrawing anything, I am not regretting anything. And it's a stance of hope, because hope is the virtue of the soldier. We are not fighting because we are upset. We are fighting because we believe the Society of St. Pius X is fixable. Compared to the course of destruction of Vatican II, we are only in the 50s. We are not in the 60s. We are in the 50s, where the situation is mixed and fixable. So 2012 is a year of opportunity for us to fix that reconciliational spell. It's our year of opportunity. If we let this year pass, that's why I say to many people, if we let 2012 pass, then of course the leadership of the Society of St. Pius X will be populated with compromisers. And then the society will be ripe for placing itself under Rome. It will fall like an apple by its own weight. There won't be any need of Menzingen to campaign. Right now, the Fluger is campaigning in southern France. It goes everywhere in southern France to evangelize for the reconciliation. And Bishop Fellet is making statements after statements every week, everywhere. He's using all his dici and all his networks but you won't need to do such a thing in 3 years' time. If I were the advisor of Bishop Fellet, I would tell him to wait. The situation is not ready. He's got 3 bishops and many faithful and many priests making a stand against it. It's 2012 is not the year for them. It's the year for us, my dear faithful. Their year is more 2015, I would believe. Because the situation is not ready for them to do the jump. And charity, the whole crisis has to end as one same family. That's what I want. That is, I do not believe in the intrinsic malice of Bishop Fellet. I don't call him a traitor. I believe he's under a spell, but I don't believe there is any intrinsic malice in him. Take the Lord of the Rings, he's a bit like Denethor or Theoden. Two kings under a spell. Good persons. With Denethor, it ends in tragedy, and that's not what I want. In the case of Theoden, the spell is withdrawn from him by Gandalf. I think that Bishop Fellet is the new Theoden. He's a good man. So the whole thing has to end as a family. So all the calumnies against me, saying Father Chazal is bitter, and no, it's not. I'm not bitter against Bishop Philip. I could have been deceived just the same. Because, like Don Bosco, I fear the serpent. You know, those ladies were saying, oh, Bosco, you know, you are so powerful against the devil. And Don Bosco says, no, my lady, ooh, hold your horses. No, I fear him very much. Because he's smart. I don't believe I'm smarter than Bishop Philip. I could have made the same mistake. And the devil could have found my other weak point and used it. Probably my in-your-face Frenchness to make mistakes of a graver nature than the mistakes that Bishop Philip is doing currently. And the trick of the devil on Bishop Philip's side is that the devil has used Bishop Philip's goodness, his charity. Now I made a chart in the war thing with the main qualities of the three bishops. But maybe it was a mistake to exclude Bishop Philip from the chart. Because Bishop Philip has a great quality, because of which he was voted Superior General. It is his charity. His charity shines more originally than the other three bishops. He was voted in because we all thought that he would be very strong on doctrine, a strength on doctrine based on the virtue of charity. Because true anti-liberalism is based on the virtue of charity. So strong on principles and doctrine, but because of this charity, very soft, very gentle on people. Because the situation is so confused. We have to be strong on principle and very soft on people, very soft. That's why I want you to have the Blessed Sacrament all the time. Because I want to be soft with you. The priest has to be a lion in preaching and a lion in confession. So we saw in 1994 that strength in doctrine and the softness of Bishop Philip towards the people. And the devil saw that. And he uses his goodness, Bishop Philip, in order to make Bishop Philip pity Benedict XVI and proposes help to him. And he's using the goodness of Bishop Philip to make Bishop Philip pity the church. Of course, we pity the church. But you can't pity the church rightly if you compromise the Society of St. Pius X. And you put the Society of St. Pius X in a state of split and in a state of danger. But I do understand the motivation of Bishop Philip to lead us in that stage. And secondly, we are not going to be the exploders of the Society of St. Pius X. That is, I am not going to tell people don't go to RMT or Victory Church because it's under control of Father Onoda. I will not say that. Don't go to Mass in Hong Kong because Father Fortin and the people in Hong Kong are kind of in favor of the agreement. I am not going to do that. I am not going to say to the American faithful, rebel against Father Rostand because Father Rostand is persecuting me. No! I tell the American faithful, you are still under Father Rostand. Father Rostand is my friend. We used to drink cider in the basement of the seminary together when we were seminarians. He is my old friend, and he remains so. He doesn't like me all that much right now, but we'll get over it. I told Father Rostand, I told him in Latin, in era constitutus es, duobus post mensibus, concilium meliorem facimus. And I said, Deus te benedicat. And I said, Carissime Arnalde, my dear Arnaud, you are stuck into anger. After 2 months, we will make a better council among ourselves. We will have a talk without wrath. May God bless thee, Rostand. And I sign my name. So I'm not asking the American faithful to rebel against Father Rostand, but let them stand against this compromising and self-destruction of the Society of St. Pius X. Yes. But let them not attack anyone personally. One person was thinking of calling Father Iscariot. That's wrong. There should be no abuse of any of those priests. Even though they believe in the compromise, they should be not abused. They are simply deceived. And in a complicated, intricate situation. We are not Sedevacantists. We have no bitterness. Of course, we are going to be a big headache for them. But we are not going to be rid of them. And they are not going to be rid of us. Because we remain family. And thirdly, we have no plans of retaliation should outside win. Should outside win in the general chapter, I refuse punishments on those who disagree with me. They will not be punished. We are not Stalinists, and there is a way to deal with people who kind of mellow sometimes, and Alfred always has showed patience to them. He never threw anyone out. He says, "If you want to leave, you leave the society if you wish," but he never threw out anyone, as I'm being thrown out and threatened and run after. No, we won't run after anybody. Should our position win. And prudence has to be exercised. So the official society is not going to like us keeping the SSPX name. So there will be court cases, there will be attacks against us, so we have to be very wise. So for instance, if you put a court case against us and wants us to strike down the SSPX name, facing overwhelming force, then we may have to comply, alright? But then if you vocally, if you call me Father Chazal, I'm a priest of the SSPX, I will always answer that. And if then we will have, just like some German bishops don't want us to call ourselves Catholics. If by law you want me to remove the Catholic word there, I call myself Christian. If you don't want me to call myself Christian, I call myself human being trying to stay in a state of grace. So we'll have to use prudence. And then we will have to find a prudent leader. So prudence is not ma forte, they say. Bishop Tissier says, Father Chazal est un imprudent. He is not prudent. Okay, prudence is not my forte, so I won't be the boss. Right? I will remain the clown. But put a prudent boss. We put a prudent boss to avoid making mistakes. Then the main act of our virtue prudence in this case will be how do we deal with liberals. The problem of liberalism, it's affecting all of us in varying degrees. Therefore, there is no absolute need to call liberals names, liberals, implacable placateur, popularities. There is no need to call them names, but we need to do something about it. To heal liberalism is to correct their appetites, because the liberalism is the rebellion of the lower appetites. In the case of Bishop Philé, it's the appetite of reconciliation, the desire of reconciliation takes over the intellect. So it's a rebellion of the lowest part, the appetites, the desires, the will, the heart, against the upper part, which is the intellect. Now this needs to be corrected. And an internal liberalism is, once the intellect is corrected, then the intellect gives the wrong orders to the will, to the heart. So it goes up and down. It's a disease, right? So how you correct liberalism? Well, to correct the appetites, you need to use a medicine. That medicine is the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. So that's why I have applied a certain degree of pain. It's true. And I made my enemies squeal. It's true. I don't deny it. Maybe the form is wrong at times, so I can apologize on the form at times. But I did make my enemies squeal, and squeal they did, my dear faithful. So is this war on sermon make them squeal enough, or what next made them squeal enough? I am not quite sure. So after this what next sermon, another installment is coming, War Won. Because that's how you bring out somebody from his spell, For how you bring the reconciliation or spell, it's like an exorcism. And that the healing of the papacy will be the same, will be like an exorcism. That is, you fight, you pounce, you fight, until the candidates for exorcism comes out. And realizes immediately that he was under a spell. It's the same. So that's why I am making my adversaries, my beloved adversaries, I am making them squeal. That's the main act of prudence that we are going to exercise. Okay, faith or charity is very important, but prudence is a vital virtue for this stage of the fight. Now, I don't want to be the leader of this reformer, SSPX, but as far as prudence is concerned, the main act of our prudence will be to make them squeal until they wake up from the la-la land of this predatory structure. You know? And then we will have to use the virtue of justice. We have received justice, that you render what you have received. You know, to render each and everyone its due. Now we have received so much from the SSPX. I received my priesthood, my training, I received everything from the SSPX. How on earth am I going to leave the SSPX? It's out of the question. I am SSPX until the rest of my life. So we are not going to serve a hostile organization. But what we want is to shift the SSPX within itself. We're going to shift the SSPX back to its fighting stance. And then we will be supporting any official SSPX priest, any superior district, or any still remaining bishop in the official SSPX. We will support them all the time. The other ones who compromise, well, we will expose them adroitly, forcibly, and relentlessly. And so, also we have given a lot to the SSPX. I gave 24 years of my life, 11 assignments, all my time, my wealth, my obedience. You know, I was very, Father Nodar admits I was always obedient to him. And I've never said no to any assignments to Father Couture. He's been playing with me this school last year like a joystick, giving me 4 different assignments in a, so he pushes the joystick on the left, and Chazal goes on the left, and then the joystick on the right, Chazal goes on the right. So I have no problem. I have no problem with that. But because it changed the stance of the faith, then things are changing, and then they want me out. So they are telling me that they are not my superiors anymore. So they need to choose. But in any case, we are staying what we are. So we are going to support the Society of St. Pius. We're going to tell people not to leave this or that mass center, but keep their eyes open. So I'm telling you, for instance, take a district which is under control of Menzingen, which is the United States district. I tell people, just keep your eyes open. Don't leave your mass center. All the priests are good priests. And if necessary, you make a stand. But do not undermine any of your mass center and parishes and the good works of the United States Societies district. So we're going to ignore the ingratitude of the official authorities of the society to us, because overall we are grateful of what we have received in the Society of St. Pius X. The gift of all these gifts. Because in the past, when a priest was leaving the society, we used to say, after the society gave this man everything, and now look at this priest. He is leaving the society. So we are not going to change our name already. And then fortitude. Fortitude is divided in 2 parts. The agredi and the sustinere. Agredi, which is the attack, and the sustinere is the taking of blows, the taking of things, passive. Now our agredi, we maintain it to Benedict XVI, to the new Rome. So we keep on firing on the new Rome, the new modernist Rome. The sustinere will be more exercised as far as the blows we are going to receive from the official SSPX. And that's very necessary because we want to make a demonstration, and we are making it right now, on which side the virtue of charity is. And I noticed after the monition was made to me, that at last Father Onodar understood it. Father Fortin has understood it perfectly. Father Couture yet does not understand. He's rushing to throw me out. He thinks maybe that it's useful for the general chapter that I am discredited before the general chapter. But at least Father Onodar and Father Fortin have understood it. And then they accept my charity. And they return charity back to me. And we are weeping on the present situation together. That is good. That is good. For me, I achieve my aim. If my charity can provoke the charity of those who disagree with me, that's my aim. I am very happy. I have not won over to charity for the future yet. But it will happen. And I still write many postcards and letters to Menzingen. I have long conversation with them, if I can. I still talk to them. I think Father Rostand is too angry right now. So I can't touch it, it's too much on fire. Alright? Whenever it cools down, I get back to him. And the second thing, we need to humble ourselves and get ourselves crucified. Good priests get crucified, that's good. Good for me. All these sufferings and everything. And if we preach the forgiveness of sins to our brethren, well, we should show example as priests. If I show publicly to you that I'm not capable to forgive what is done to me, then you should not follow me. Because I am a liar in my actions. And then thirdly, to win over our enemies. That is, if we win over their charity, we win over their ear. And then we have the means to draw them out of the spell of reconciliation. And then temperance represses pride. Not just gluttony or lust. The main thing that temperance represses, and is forgotten aspect of the virtue of temperance. Temperance is a virtue where humility sits. And humility is the queen of all virtues. The basis of all virtues. Temperance represses pride. We are not the savior of the Society of St. Pius X. I am not the savior of the Society of St. Pius X. All I do, I just remain what I am. I want to keep the faith. Just like before the crisis, we said, we are not the saviors of the church, we just keep the faith. That's it. God's time for the great miracle will come. And it's going to happen very soon. It's not us who are the saviors of the Society of St. Pius. It's her, the Blessed Virgin Mary, who is going to triumph in the Church and rescue the Society of St. Pius X from this crisis. I hope you clearly understand it, that we are not. And then lastly, I don't want to be too long, the hopeful happenings. So even though the nightmare scenario is excluded by what we will do, the stand of not quitting the society, the part 2, but I exclude also this, because it's the wrong, it's not going to happen. We are not going to have, after a failed general chapter, a heroic resistance and a band of priests banding together, because it's not going to happen, because the problem is going to be solved by the general chapter. Why? It's because Our Lady is going to help us. The mother instinct of Our Lady is irresistible. Why? Because Our Lady is not a mother. She is a divine mother. She's not like the other mothers. The other mothers always help their families when there is a crisis. Our Lady is not only a mother, she's a divine mother. And so it's out of the question for me to believe that Our Lady is not going to help us. And that by the 15th of July, this crisis is entirely over. That's why there is not going to happen a split within SSPX with two SSPX within themselves fighting. It's not going to happen, my faithful. I kind of fooled you. I did fool you, but it's not what is going to happen. And but I'm not in the politics of the General Council, so I cannot give you a victory scenario for the General Council, except these two preludes, the first and second prelude. That's victory and that's defeat. That's the only thing I know. The outcome, what we should be looking for at the outcome of the General Chapter. So I'm not going to give you another scenario about it. Now, what needs we need to know is what needs to be done to fix the SSPX so that such a crisis does not happen again. The Society of St. Pius X needs to recover its official fighting stance. Now, they say, of course, we fight and everything, but look at our DG website. look at our muted reaction to Assisi 3. We are not fighting anymore. When Assisi 1 happened, Archbishop Lefebvre went thermonuclear. He says, this is a public mocking of the first commandment. He says, I'm going to consecrate bishops, and he made flyers, fiery flyers, with hell, you know, and very, very aggressive, fiery flyers at that time. And he went thermonuclear. He called even the Pope Antichrist. Did Bishop Philip call the Pope Antichrist because of Assisi 3? No. But Archbishop Lefebvre did go, and then all our liberals in France were horrified when Archbishop Lefebvre did so. But he did not hesitate, and he maintained it. We don't have anymore in the SSPS holy anger. We have some disappointments, those are issues that remains, points of disagreement. But no more holy anger for the sin of fornication from the faith. No more holy anger. That's why I put this title, which is very, biblical, but this is the way God proceeds. Because the abandonment of the faith, the mockery of the first commandment, is something so grave. And so they say that we must not be excessive, and they say that the chopping, nailing, and crushing of heads, that's sacred scripture, that's all figurative. That's not the real thing. But wait a minute, the Word of God is our rule of life, especially the Psalms. The Word of God, Saint Ignatius, it's full of warfare. So our life is a warfare. And so we are not asking to be taken as we are with full liberty and autonomy for ourselves. That's not warfare, my dear faithful. So hopefully there is still some fight in us. So I salute those who fought me. I respect them because they were tough enemies. All I ask God is to turn their ability to fight against God's enemies. Not against me, that they turn their weapons, instead of turning their weapons to me, that they turn their weapons against the enemies of God. And I won't be too long. Second point, that we stop breeding pious priests. Pious priest. Of course, a priest needs to be pious, but he needs to be founded on piety, doctrine, and fighting spirit. Otherwise, he falls. Otherwise, you have a priest of the 1950s. That is not going to defend you, my dear faithful. And then we must recognize that liberalism is creeping within our ranks. And then we need to get the society de-bureaucratized, decentralized, and demediatized. So you'll find all these details on our Korean website. The time is up. So let's go let's go back to our God. Let's unite ourselves entirely to the Blessed Sacrament. Let's fuse our hearts with our God, who is teaching our hands how to fight, and place ourselves under the one who is like an army, all set into battle array. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.